Number 131 is titled Goldfish by Henri Matisse. So it looks like Henry, but this is a French artist, so it'd be pronounced Henri Matisse, 1912, and this is oil on canvas. I would write down Fauvism because that is the art movement that he is a part of. And then I just want to give a credit to a former student of mine, Elizabeth. I'm using a PowerPoint that she made for a presentation a couple years ago. All right, so Fauvism, what is it? This is an art movement that developed in France. It's really the first new artistic style of the 20th century. And it's coming about basically the same time as Expressionism. Remember, Expressionism is in Germany, so this is the art movement that's happening in France. Influence comes from post-Impressionism. So this is an example of Fauvism. This is a painting by André Derain, right? Fauvism. So you can see similarities with the short, quick brushstrokes. It's just that the colors, it's almost like the saturation and the intensity in the colors have just been turned up. They're just more saturated, they're brighter. This one in the middle, though, looks very post-impressionistic. Okay, so this is an Henri Matisse painting. That's a great example of Fauvism. So when Fauvism was exhibited, it was first called raving madness, the naive and brutal effects of a child playing with its paint box. The Fauves completely liberated color from imitating the natural world. I mean, all the green shadows on the face, then contrasted with red, right? Those are not naturalistic colors. It's just color. First of all, those are complementary colors, right? So it's making it pop. All right, so it was a critic that gave the name the Fauves, which in French means wild beasts. So they were called wild beasts because of their crazy use of color. So what other art movement got its name based on what critics called it, which they were kind of using as an insult? And that was Impressionism. All right, here's another Henri Matisse. All right, so some more characteristics of Fauvism, a very distinct brushwork. It's short, quick brush strokes, which is very similar to post-impressionism or some impressionism. Lots of bright, pure, vivid colors, focused on emotional power over fleeting color and light. So Monet was about the fleeting color and light. This one's about the emotional power of these bright colors. So here you can see on the left, Impressionism, and then you have Fauvism on the right. All right, now into the piece. This is the piece. Key for the PowerPoint, form, function, content, and context. Okay, so the bright orange of the goldfish strongly contrasts with the pinks and greens around the bowl and the blue-green background. So this is what's helping really focus our attention on those bright orange fish, right? That's really the only place we're seeing that color. And then it's contrasted with all the complementary colors around it. Characteristic of Matisse's work is his use of complementary colors replaced by each other, making them appear even brighter. This is made to be more decorative than naturalistic. By the way, another thing we're looking at, I never really noticed, this is the side of a chair, like kind of like a wicker chair or a woven chair. Matisse depicts the space in two different ways, a more realistic way and a more suggestive way. Tilted upwards and flattened like the table is viewed from above, making it look like nothing should be staying on that table. Do you see how the perspective and the angle of that table really does not make sense? So he really gets that from Cezanne, right? Cezanne is kind of doing the same thing in how he is depicting the pictorial space. There's Cezanne. And then we also saw this in the Annunciation triptych, right? That skewed perspective of that table. So his tabletop is tilted upwards, flattening our depth of space. I would include that for Matisse's Goldfish painting. Okay, here is Cezanne on the left, and then you have Matisse on the right, right? Very heavily inspired by Cezanne. He's also inspired by traveling to Morocco. So this is where he noted people gazing at goldfish bowls for hours, kind of just daydreaming, contemplating life. So here's an example of one of his studies from Morocco. He painted them all on his own. When he went back home is when he created these paintings. His goldfish paintings were done in his garden conservatory. So he is surrounded by glass as he's painting these goldfish that are surrounded by glass. So here's some more of his goldfish studies. All right, why goldfish? He's got a lot of goldfish. So to Matisse, goldfish symbolized a paradise lost and a very tranquil state of mind. Goldfish represented the golden age and paradise. And this is also coming from his studies of Islamic art, or his knowledge of Islamic art, where gardens, water, and vegetation were all very symbolic. He made this for viewers to indulge in watching graceful movements and to relax from fatigue. So that could be the function of the piece, right? To have something beautiful and relaxing and contemplative to look at. All right, so here's the influence from Islamic art. So in Islam, water is seen as life-giving, sustaining, and purifying. The Quran states, from water, every living creature was created. Water is used in Islamic architecture for several basic reasons. Water is an important component of traditional Islamic gardens and courtyards. So he knew this about Islamic art. And so there's some belief that that is also an influence in his work. All right, here's some more of his goldfish paintings. So overall, he uses complementary colors, quest for paradise through content, right? What he's depicting, the desired function of having a viewing pleasure, offered relaxation for the viewer, complex construction of space through 3D forms and flattening of perspective. And then this painting is a painting of him by another artist, Duran, a French Fauvist artist. So you don't need to write this down, but he's someone who was not planning on being a painter, right? He studied to be a lawyer, was gifted paints while he was recovering from a medical procedure, and he became a painter. Can you guys think of anybody else who had some medical issue and was given paint, and then that determined them to become a painter? We haven't talked about her yet, but Frida. All right, here's a college board question. The work shown by Henri Matisse demonstrates an interest in the A, flattening of pictorial space with unblended brushstrokes of vibrant color, B, precise application of paint and careful strokes independent of shapes depicted, C, fracturing of the subject matter into multiple perspectives visible at once, or D, staining of the unprimed canvas to emphasize process and form over content. What do you think it is? You're correct, it's A. In the painting shown, Matisse purposely flattens the pictorial plane by limiting space within the room and by using thick brushstrokes of vibrant color with limited tonal variation. As a result, the interior lacks depth and the objects lack volume. So this description right here, I would include this in your notes. The flattening of pictorial space with unblended brushstrokes of vibrant color. By the way, these other answers, C, fracturing of the subject matter into multiple perspectives. Do we know what this one is about? C for cubism. And then staining of the unprimed canvas. We have not talked about this yet, but that's going to be a female artist, Helen Frankenthaler, when we talk about abstract expressionism. So coming up soon. Done.